Have you ever been sad? Have you ever played Endling? If you answered no to either question, you, my friend, are a liar, because nobody has or will be truly sad until playing this gut punch of an eco-conscious 3D side-scrolling survival game. But before you go bailing on this bleak review, I promise to more than make up for bringing you down with a big Summer Games giveaway at the end. Let's start with story. Endling's plot invites you to experience a totally fictional world ravaged by man through the eyes of the last fox family on Earth, and packs a surprising degree of emotional devastation into its short, wordless story. Though characters are few and far between, Endling makes them count. Shout out to the rifle-wielding scavenger for somehow showcasing the entire spectrum of humanity in what ultimately amounts to a matter of minutes. No traditional combat system to unpack in Endling, though that's not to say you won't have your fair share of enemies. Ankle-breaking traps, neck-snapping dogs, pup-snatching owls, and daytime, to name a few. You'll need to keep an eye out for each while your nose is to the ground as you forage for food. Fail to find enough each night and your pups, each of whom can learn special skills over time, will struggle to keep up. I tragically learned too late that you can pick them up when they start to lag behind. Speaking of lag, I encountered nothing of the sort during my playthrough, no crashes or bugs to report either. I also adored the game's dynamic camera and much appreciated its quality of life fact that dying doesn't restart your whole playthrough as roguelites have brainwashed me to believe it should, just the night you're on. Thus my only playability gripe is that Endling's keyboard controls necessitate a horrific claw-like contortion of fingers. Definitely use a controller if possible. I don't have much to say about Endling's simple UI. The occasional pop-up tooltips that guide you home or away from danger are helpful and unobtrusive, though I would have appreciated a mini-map of sorts on the HUD, as Endling's complex web of crisscrossing paths frequently forced me into the menus to ensure I was on the right path. This menu spam distracts from what is otherwise a very immersive world. As noted, the level design here is intricate and further enhanced by story-based environmental progression. Melting snow or fallen trees, for example, will unlock new paths to forage and new dens to call home. Though well executed, Endling's objectives and gameplay loop don't do much to evolve on the survival genre. Simply survive alongside some combination of your 4 pups for 30 nights and the game will end. Given Endling's $30 price tag, relatively small map, surface level cosmetic customization, and rather linear story, I am concerned about the game's overall value. I certainly don't feel the need to continue playing it after my brisk 5 or so hour playthrough. Though if I do return to Endling, it'll probably be to bask in the game's stellar sense of style. Endling's art design and visual aesthetic are just lovely, full of deep, rich colors and beautiful hand-drawn backdrops, though up close the game's textures do fall a bit flat. There's not quite as much detail or depth to them as I'd hoped. Also, the animations can prove a tad jumpy. You can tell there are default positions from which characters were meant to initiate actions, meaning your fox will occasionally snap into place. The game's string-heavy soundtrack has a nice range to it and makes great use of leitmotif. I'll definitely be hearing the Furrier's chase sequence in my nightmares. Not including this jarring staccato screech that sounds every time you find a new clue, Endling boasts excellent sound design. Paying close attention to environmental ambiance can tip you off to food and foe alike. In the end, Endling is an endearing tale and unique gameplay experience that on multiple occasions elicited from me a genuine emotional reaction, which always earns you bonus points. Speaking of points, after averaging up our micrometrics, Endling earns an above-average aggregate megascore of 3.45 out of 5, and as promised, I now have to cheer you up with about $300 worth of summer games to give away. First up, fittingly, is Endling. Leave a comment describing your most memorable experience with an animal in the wild and I'll enter you into the Endling raffle. And though Endling's slogan claims extinction is forever, Deadcraft would probably disagree. This twist on the zombie survival action genre gives you control of Reed, a half-zombie hunter slash horticulturalist who plants the undead corpses of his enemies to grow his very own zombie workers. Cool. Comment with your favorite ever zombie game and I'll randomly select Deadcraft's recipient. Next up is Zell, or XL, a self-described Zelda clone in which you also play as Reed, though this time an amnesiac astronaut and girl that crash lands on a dysfunctional space biome that's floating aimlessly through the cosmos and probably functions as a big metaphor for global warming, but I'm gonna let you figure that one out. Just leave a comment explaining how to end climate change and I'll select the... just kidding. Just let me know what your favorite Zelda game is and why. Really, it's that easy. Up next is Max Xeno Reborn, an absurd-looking post-apocalyptic open-world JRPG with real-time and turn-based tank combat. Take control of Tails and his faithful battle dog Pokey to save the world, probably. JRPG is just one genre I never get around to playing, so to win Metal Max, comment with your best JRPG recommendation and I'll pick a random winner. Moving on, we have Moo Lander, a self-described 2D action-adventure RPG with Metroidvania elements featuring an epic plot, mighty cow bosses, beautiful environments, clever puzzles, and lots of milk. You know what? It's different, so let's give it to the person in the comments with the weirdest username. Next we have Gordian Quest, an epic deck-building RPG that infuses old-school classics like D&D and Ultima with modern roguelite sensibilities a la Slay the Spire. Gordian Quest features a number of game modes, including a non-roguelite option for all you non-masochists, 10 heroes with unique skill sets, and highly replayable, procedurally generated maps. To enter this raffle, just let me know in the comments what your favorite deck builder is. We're getting down to it, just 3 giveaways left, among them Loopmancer, a brand new beautiful 3D roguelite platformer set in a cyberpunk dystopia. Play as the perpetually reincarnated Private Eye Shang Jixu and investigate the disappearance of a famous female journalist in Loopmancer. I'll be honest, I'm feeling pretty OD'd on the cyberpunk aesthetic these days, so comment with what you think is the freshest take on what is, in my opinion, an increasingly stale setting for your chance to win.
And now for something completely different.
Matchpoint Tennis Championships is a cross-play compatible take on the sport that features a career mode, quick play, practice, and training options, as well as online multiplayer. All you need to do to win is tell me your favorite ever sports game. Personally, I'm still partial to the arguably greatest football game ever, 2K5. We've saved the last for last with Last Days of Lazarus, a first-person story-driven adventure game set in the post-Soviet era with a sprinkle of the supernatural thrown in for fun. Unearth your family's dark mysteries in the reality-bending Last Days of Lazarus by commenting your favorite ever mystery game or quest line, and I'll pick a random winner. With that, I am all out of giveaways for the summer, no limit on entries, so best of luck winning one. May it give you all the excuses you need to stay inside during this apparently global heatwave. Until next time, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.